Listen to that, like this electric sound boost building up. Hey, today I have the Mercedes EQE 53 AMG for you. On the US market it will just be called Mercedes EQE AMG. And here in Europe we have the 53 version because there will also be a 43 version, but this one the top spec AMG. And in the front we can see this bold AMG design here with the vertical fins. Although it is a closed grille in this electric vehicle, this here, so to speak, the electric E-Klasse performance version. This is the EQE AMG, and in the lower part we have also this bold styling for the AMG once again. This one here in brilliant blue, but we also have other colors for you, for example graphite gray or opalite white, also very interesting. And this one here all the way with the vehicle color chrome style. We'll soon show you the differences to the night package as well. The digital light is also standard for the AMG versions of the EQE. This has a more elaborated high beam function. And in this driving review, we'll also test the performance. 4,95 m or 195 inches is the length here of the EQE. It's, so to speak, the smaller brother of the Mercedes EQS. And in the AMG version, we have bigger wheels, 20 or 21 inch. These here are the biggest 21 inch. Really massive styling, also with the ring around. Optional carbon ceramic brakes, a very cost intensive option. And here to this brilliant blue, I think that's a perfect setup. Thomas blue color here in Autogefühl with the chrome frames. This is the most elegant styling, I think. And in the night package, these would be blacked out. We have it here at the white or the Magno gray vehicle. And also the mirror caps would come in black if you want a more sinister look indeed. Other than that, the total styling is this one bow design like in the EQS, kind of looks like a raindrop. Technology wise, the air suspension is standard for the AMG model, and also rear axle steering is standard here. But in the normal EQE it would be 4.5 or optional 10 degrees in the opposite direction in the front wheels. The AMG version is limited to 3.6 degrees. Why? Mixed tires. So the rear tire here is wider than the front one in the rear, 295 mm. That's really very wide, and therefore the rear axle steering is a little bit limited here in the AMG model. That is indeed a disadvantage for agility and for the turning circle inside the city. Still, you will feel the effect of the rear axle steering. A clean styling here in the rear, light strip goes all the way through, AMG badging. And indeed, I also heard some people talking, passing by here, and people realize that this is an AMG model. Also, for example, with the sport accentuations in the lower part here. Is this derived from a fake exhaust originally, by the way? Is, you know, from a graphic, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's totally fine then, definitely. As for the figures, very interesting. So there's this so-called Dynamic Plus package, and this will reduce the acceleration figure from 3.5 to 3.3 seconds. And also increase the top speed from 220 km an hour to 240 km an hour. So from 137 miles per hour to 150 miles per hour. The top power output then is, yeah, a lot of figures now, maximum of 687 horsepower and 1000 Newton meters of torque during the race start with all the boost that is available. Will we try the race start later on? Battery size is 91 kilowatt hours net. So you can, at good summer temperatures, expect something 500 kilometers or 300 miles of range. And winter temperatures, because this does not have a heat pump, neither does the EQS. So then in winter times you do lose the range in more like 400 kilometers or 250 miles or even less. I really think they will retrofit a heat pump at a later stage for that model. Recharging, 11 kilowatt AC or 170 kilowatt DC max, but the charging curve is very well held, so you can do some 10 to 80% state of charge in about 30 minutes. And in advance, our test consumption for the day with agile driving is some 25 something kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so that's like 40 kilowatt hours in 100 miles. That is then indeed also less than 400 kilometers or less than 250 miles. So either wintertime or performance driving, then the range does drop, of course. So it is not an efficiency monster, that vehicle here, this EV. Let's take it that way. And the other thing you can open here in the front is the wiper fluid box. Yeah, that's really interesting. They always say that you cannot open the hood because they put the HEPA filter in there. The HEPA filter, by the way, is an option. And 4MATIC Plus, why is that? Well, all-wheel drive is in theory very flexible and variable. You can put all the power to the front or to the rear because you have two separate electric motors. All-wheel drive model, of course. However, the rear electric motor is stronger than the front one. And also with the 53 model here, they do use some kind of different hardware. So the 500 all-wheel drive model, the normal Mercedes model, has two electric motors already. And then there's the 43 model, at least in Europe, that has the same hardware. And only the 53 model, or the AMG model in the US, does also have hardware changes to both electric motors. And then overall, of course, more power, more boost, which we will experience very soon in the driving part. This is the car key with AMG badging. Then door handles, here the flush style. They come out, and then when you close them, they go in. Ooh, it also, do you hear that? It's a start up or a closing sound from AMG. Let's try it again. Interesting. Not sure if you can really pick it up. Then door closing sound. It's actually quite solid, although it is frameless doors and also with dual insulation. Interior materials look really fancy. You do have a lot of capacitive buttons, hashtag capacitive BS, like here. This is all capacitive and it's just one button area. I don't like that. And also that these here do not move. They do react on the steering, adjustment, but they don't move. That's not that good. What's cool is that they have a lot of great surface materials, like here a high-grade leatherette, and also here in the top part, which has kind of neoprene style. This looks really great and also feels very nicely indeed. Seats, it's very interesting. It gets the sport seat form as standard, and also for the European and also for the US market, that's new now, will be the standard seat that you get microcut microfiber on the inside and Artico leatherette on the outside. It will look similar, just then with the microfiber on the inside. And this is also a great standard setup, and this is the optional animal skin pack. As for the steering wheel, this one here does have the microfiber on the outside parts. If you want the car completely animal free, you can go for the standard microcut seat and then here pick it like this. But on the top side, there's also one where you have carbon fiber. Then here we can put it in an overlay, so you can get this vehicle here, the EQE AMG, also animal free. That's actually really cool. Then seating position. So far, it's actually, you don't have too much space in here. Also how the whole middle console is around you. So if you compare it, for example, to a Mercedes E-Klasse, the combustion engine brother, then you do have more space in the E-Klasse indeed. Actually also quite sporty. The car sits also 5mm lower with that air suspension here in the AMG trim. And we'll see later on while driving how it plays out with the comfort. It is a problem recently with Mercedes models, no matter which, if EV or not, that for tall people, the seat ergonomics are not on point. So I would actually urge Mercedes engineers to work on the seat ergonomics, especially if you're a little bit taller, like 1,89 m or 6'2". And also the headroom that is left here does work. Yeah, not too plenty, but it's still okay. And you can also get a panoramic roof here. Interior overview, super clean layout, look at that, and also the new materials here on the dashboard, that looks super fancy, and also the integration of the ambient lighting, that's one of my favorite features. And also, for example, that when you put here the warmer temperature or the colder temperature, it has this visualization that is just really awesome. For some it's too much, I really love it indeed. As for the screen setup, this is the MBUX Hyperscreen. It is an option also in the AMG version for the EQE, and usually you would start with this vertical screen layout here, and then you would have a deco element on the right side. In the Hyperscreen, you have then 3 screens, also a passenger screen, and this one is also wide and has this curved glass. I would recommend the standard screen. It looks cleaner to me, it's easier to control, and also it's so expensive. The option here is 8,000 euros or dollars, and that's ridiculous. However, it does have some interesting functionalities. Look at that. This one is also, you can also get it for a normal screen, this camera view while you have GPS running. Then you have some arrows here showing you like where you need to go, right, left, straight, and so on and so on. Behind that, there's the normal GPS, which also has some, decent responsiveness. Huge screen indeed. And then you also have this main menu that looks like this. And you also have special AMG performance levels. For example, it can show you the energy flow. You also have different, drive visualizations. Here you can see the front and the rear electric motor and where the battery is placed in the middle part. And it's very interesting. Here also some, engine facts. You can take a look at that. The driving modes we select here at the steering wheel, and now it gets really interesting because depending on which driving mode we are in, it does change the power output. 50% or half in the snow mode, around 80% in the comfort mode, 90% in the sport, and 100% in the sport plus mode. However, at any point, no matter in which mode you are, when you use the pin down, really put it all the way, pedal to the metal, then you always get 100% of power output. And let's take a look, because I connected also my smartphone. You can also use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless or with wire. You can choose that. This is then here how the map looks like in the Google Maps Apple CarPlay, and this then is the Apple CarPlay integration all the way over the screen. The bottom is the sound system, and this one here does have a very cool sound. Very surround, three-dimensional. Love that sound system indeed. Only thing is that you control the entertainment volume here, for example. At the steering wheel with capacitive function, that's the other way, but no real volume jog. And even that one in the middle console, even this one here is via touch or pressing that whole thing with capacitive button. Am I too old school, or are you also missing then, a real button to control the volume? Steering wheel with the dual horizontal spoke AMG design. It looks quite fancy. I love the size, it's a really compact steering wheel. It looks sporty like this. Very well to control indeed. The only thing, once again, also when you use the cruise control, one button design and also capacitive. While driving, you control that with swiping or so. It's really not ideal at all. The shifting pedals are really cool. In this case, you control the recuperation modes with that. When I have a startup of the vehicle for real, put in the driving mode, then I can switch here in the instruments. Left is going to strong recuperation, right is normal recuperation, no recuperation, and intelligent recuperation. And that is really interesting. I would recommend intelligent recuperation, because then when the car is in front of you, it does use recuperation. When there's nothing in front of you, it's rolling. To me, the good compromise. However, when you do a start up here, when you shut down the vehicle and you start again, it always resets to normal recuperation, because they have to decide for one mode where all the homologation and testing cycles is being done. Yeah, that's a strange thing, but also has to do with regulations. When we take a closer look here at the digital instruments, you have specific AMG, Super Sport, or also track pace design like this. But you can also pick the normal classic design like this, or here understated, even more reduced, and also the full screen map view. That is of course also a helpful thing if you maybe don't want to rely on the info on the head-up display. And the head-up display, clear view, and you also have some GPS information in the line of sight. Very interesting, always the different ambient lighting controls here. This is really fancy indeed, either with unicolor or multicolor and so on. And this energy shine is the adaptive thing, so you will see in the driving part that it kind of runs. I always call it circus mode. And what about the voice input? Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
Does this car have steering wheel heating?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Does this vehicle have steering wheel heating?
I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that right now.
That's strange, because earlier she did. Let's try it again.
What would you like to do?
Activate steering wheel heating.
I'm sorry. This vehicle does not have steering wheel heating.
There we go, thanks. At least we could find out by that. However, for the EQE you can go for a heated steering wheel, that does work. The passenger screen is only active when someone is sitting on that passenger side, by the way, otherwise it's deactivated. It can also be used, for example, to watch YouTube while driving then, but just for the passenger. And the YouTube video will be deactivated as soon as the driver is looking over. Middle console without high gloss black. I love that here. Cool carbon fiber styling. The only thing that might be because of very early build vehicle here. This is like not the perfect panel gap here. Yeah, it's a very Germanish thing, definitely. But yeah, that's why we're here. So then when you open that, you have USB-C connectors in the front, inductive charging mat, but with this rubber mat that is always flying all over the place. Cup holders here are also not holding heavy bottles tight. When you put a small glass bottle in here, it will still wobble around, so not really happy with these cup holders. You can, however, also completely remove them like this and then push them here. Yeah, it's really funny for the kids to play around. When we close this one, we also have here this typical middle console, high-grade leatherette, good quality, and this typical split opening with 2 more USB-C chargers. And in the lower part, 2 more USB-C chargers in this open area here. You can, for example, here also secure a notepad or something. This, by the way, it says Presse Testwagen, listen and repeat, Presse Testwagen, which is press test vehicle. Yeah, German lessons for the day. Now to the rear seating area. Let's take a look. Also very nice materials here in the rear. So this looks and feels also really classy. That's also the thing about these high gloss black surfaces. When they're really clean, they might look clean and nice. Then, you know, after some fingerprints or scratches, it might be something different. Here, the rear seating area, you already see that there won't be too much space there overall. It's of course also no difference here for the AMG version. Let me get inside and see how that one plays out. So it is a full-size sedan indeed. Legroom-wise, it does work for 5 tall adults. However, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but the angle is more like that I'm moving like this with the legs, so the rear bench is not that comfortable. Headroom-wise, it does work. So yes, 5 tall adults work, but it's not very comfortable here. And that's the same also with the Mercedes EQS. If you go compare there also to the combustion engine brothers, the rear seating area is not that comfortable indeed. In the middle seat, it's a little bit stiffer or tighter. As for this, yeah, that bolstering is really stiff here. However, space-wise, it also does work, so you can also drive it with 5 tall adults, but that wouldn't be a long-term comfortable thing. Here in the middle part, you can fold down this here, and then you have either a smartphone holder or push it back slightly. And then there are adaptive cup holders in here, like this. So it works space-wise, but not ideal, I would say. As for the middle tunnel here, you have a small step here, actually. The boot is just at 430 liters, so somewhat limited. Lengthy about 1 meter or 40 inches. However, the width here is limited. That's just about 90 centimeters or 35 inches. Height about 55 centimeters or 21, 22 inches. And it does fit for the luggage, yes, no problem, but not too vast. Here, the charging cable box. You can have that one as a storage, and then the total length is about 180 in meters or 70 inches. And you might ask yourself, you see this a separate sedan trunk here. And the EQS has this wide fastback opening. They could have theoretically done that also for the EQE. I think that would have been more attractive for that vehicle. However, if they would have done that, they would have lost even more headroom in the rear, you know, because you have to attach it somewhere here and then you would lose the room right here. And that's the reason why they went for the separate trunk. Welcome to this performance driving lounge with the Mercedes EQE AMG 53, and we go to Sports Plus mode. Test this electric race start, launch control, hit the brakes, left pedal, hit the throttle, right pedal, and listen to that like this electric sound boost building up. That was 0 to 100. Amazing. Whew. So Michelle was like, what the hell just happened? So when we were building up that race start, like seat belts were tightened up, and you heard like this spaceship and engage, and wow, that went so quick.
But I'm happy that we had the sound actually.
Yeah. Michelle is right, because when you have that sound, you can somehow feel and hear what's happening, you know. So that's really important to have, because otherwise you don't really know what's happening. So that's a problem sometimes with electric vehicles, that you don't feel the acceleration, you don't know what to expect. And here with that electric sound, you know what's going to happen. That's actually very helpful. And you have a rear wheel bias here, because the rear electric motor is stronger. That air suspension is tuned on a stiffer node in the EQE AMG. So we feel it also on these roads. Still enough comfort with that air suspension, although we have the biggest 21-inch wheels. And yeah, I think it's just really good setup they found here overall. You hear once again that electric sound. It is a large vehicle. Still, you have a great handling. You have low center of gravity, because the battery pack is placed in the bottom of the vehicle. And that rear axle steering, it's not that distinctive as you know from the normal EQE, because we have that limited degree turning factor, but you still feel it. That you feel like a shorter wheelbase when you are in agile driving experience, and when you're going like left, right, and so on, and also easing the car in and out. However, if you want more flexibility in a basement garage, for example, then you would leave the AMG version to have a stronger rear axle steering. But here, a lot of fun in these corners. The car really stays very settled to the ground. I like the steering wheel setup as well, so you don't have to steer that much. Holy moly. Whoa.
What can I do for you?
Oh, so MBUX meanwhile reacts to holy moly. He said,
I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that right now.
you can't help me with holy moly? Interesting. Holy moly. Holy moly. Holy moly. I don't get it. Interesting. That's live on tape here on Autogefühl. So once again, in these corners, the only thing is you do feel the weight of the vehicle. So if you compare a sportier vehicle, because we've been driving this road here with the Mercedes C43 C-Class combustion engine. Interesting paint. It was like a Ford Ranger holiday, what was like marriage edition or something. So honeymoon edition, that's what I wanted to say. Here you do feel that the weight pushes you in the corner, although the car is really settled. It doesn't feel light at all. That's the one catch, of course, because you have that weight on board. Still, it's a lot of fun. The seats could hold us tighter actually. If you would have the standard microfiber trim, we wouldn't slide so much on the seat. However, I can stress again that the seat ergonomics themselves, no matter if, what service you have, it's not really that suitable for tall people indeed. So I think Mercedes has to work on seat ergonomics. However, if you have these seats in here, the microfiber trim will do better in comfort, because it adapts a little bit more to the body and you don't slide on that much. Here the microfiber grip on the steering wheel is really helpful, and the steering wheel also has a great size. And once again, I think something I already found out with C43, the AMG steering setups are now more likable to me, because they are a little bit more progressive. And what a wonderful road here in the Vosges region, and this is like this French-German border region. Really beautiful roads to do. Yeah, having a lot of fun. If you compare it to the EQS, the EQE does feel a little bit lighter, of course, and has a little bit shorter wheelbase. So this does bring you a little bit more agility and fun, definitely. And in the front, EQS and EQE are not really that different. So the EQS will just have more legroom in the rear, and of course this fastback trunk opening there, that's more practical with the EQS. But then again, it's also way more expensive. All the difference, EQE 500 and normal overdrive model and the EQE AMG here, well, that air suspension here sits a little bit lower, so you have also a little stiffer setup. It is somewhat sportier, yes, you feel it, and the sound experience is more enhanced. So these are the main two differences, but it does not feel like a completely different car. And that is something, by the way, if you go back to the comfort mode, we have absolute silence. You know, you don't have this sound build up. You can also individualize it in the individual mode. That's also possible. So you can also drive all silently. That's also possible. So the thing is really that with these new electric vehicles and the performance electric vehicles, the difference between the normal version and the performance version is not as large as the difference would be in the combustion engine versions, you know, like E-Klasse and E-Klasse AMG, 43, 63 and so on, or 50. For the E-Klasse they went then 53 then, yeah. That's really the thing, you know. So the AMG does have a problem with that, yes. So they have to do something, also communication and marketing wise. The sound thing is one thing, setup system is another thing then, definitely as well. It's really tough, you know, what you do then also as a manufacturer. I think it does work somewhat, but again, the difference is not as large as we used to. By the way, yeah, we don't have the maximum power in the comfort mode, not in a normal situation, but indeed when I hit the throttle completely and do a kick down, then you also have full power in all different driving modes. Let's pass this vehicle and see more about that. So when I'm here now, all the way, all silent, everything relaxed. Prepare for the next one, Michelle. Oh, that is really, wow. So yes, you have full power also in the comfort mode, and this is how it reacts when you are driving without that enhanced sound. And in these sports modes, once again, when you hit it then, wow. And by the way, you've also saw here this adaptive ambient lighting. It's a cool thing to show off to your friends on camera, you know, when I'm here on the brakes or when I'm accelerating. You see here it goes light here, but when I'm really flooring it all out, then it also becomes red. I think Michelle is starting to puke all over the place now, so slowly.
Not yet.
Not yet. So yeah, that's the thing. So it can actually be helpful to have this acoustic feedback that especially your passengers know, okay, something extreme is happening and your body can cope with that a little bit better. Overall, the setup they found here, as we know, comfort and sportiness combination, it's really very nice. You cannot expect that the weight is diminished by that. You do feel the weight of the vehicle, that's the thing. So a lighter sports vehicle will give you more fun. I also feel that my lower back has to work against the G-forces a little bit in the corners. That's still the case, but drives nicer and more agile than the EQS. And considering that weight, it's really very nice and fun ride for sure. And this electric performance is always right there. And that might be also the case that supercars get less and less attractive because, I mean, you have like an E-Klasse EV here and it has supercar acceleration figures. So who cares about supercars then in this case, you know? We also saw in our channel that people are less and less interested in supercars, and I think that might be just one thing, you know, or one important factor, because they might be losing attraction because of that. So would also like to read your comments to are supercars still relevant and interesting when you put me that in the comments. And I mean, here we can do anything supercar like at all times, you know, and also like with the launch control and so on. Super impressive. So I'm having a lot of fun with the EQE, but again, the weight cannot be erased. It is still there. That's the thing, you know, with the electric vehicles, it does carry a lot of weight. However, a lot of fun, no doubt about that. What about normal driving features? Well, so then we have the comfort mode, for example, where it's all silent, and then we can also set the cruise control here at the steering wheel. All the assistance systems are working very well. So it's also active lane keeping assist, for example, here. Let's see to which extent that works. Actually, here also in the tight corner, does that work? It does. not anymore. Yeah, so that's the limit. It's more thought out for motorway and when you're driving a little bit straighter and so on. In some bends, then this does stop working. As for recuperation, that's of course always interesting. Normal recuperation is standard, is a little recuperation, and if you want more, hit the brake pedal. You can also use the left shifting pedal, then going to our strong recuperation. So when I lift the throttle, then we have one pedal driving. So really strong recuperation when I lift the throttle. Or also no recuperation, hitting the right pedal, then we're just rolling. Ha! Hint, I can also go back. Do I have to just, no. Normal click is okay, yeah. Then we are into intelligent recuperation, and that is to me the best compromise, because here when there's no one in front of us, the car is once again just rolling, or maybe just a slight recuperation. It really depends on here. For example, the GPS says, hey, we're going downhill, so do some slight regenerative braking. That's of course a clever thing to do. So really taking GPS into account, but also if there's a car in front of you, for example. So that's really helpful. Here once again, now it's not recuperating at all. Now again, because, okay, speed is being reduced. So speed limits are also taken into account. And of course also when there's someone in front of you. So that's a very nice and intelligent feature. And I would actually indeed go for that. That's really, really cool. Sadly, they did not make that standard. I did have some background talks with Mercedes engineers from the EV department, and they said, yeah, they also find that the intelligent driving mode is the best actually, but they didn't expect yet that all customers found it best. They might change that standard mode for the future. That could be something to look out for, definitely. So, wow, yeah, really cool and interesting driving experience with the EQE AMG here. You can also compare it with the EQS AMG. We've driven that one in the US. Or if you don't want to spend as much money for the EQE AMG, check out our review of the normal EQE version.